Let's right. A very good evening to each and every one of you, wherever you folks are joining us from this evening. Happy birthday, Treaty Finance. Beatrice Selby, good to see you. Sandra Hanover, good to see you as well. Chevron McDonald, all the other folks joining us this evening on YouTube, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Great to have all of you guys on the live. Good to see you. Claudine, how are you doing, Claudine? Dukwa, Claudine LaRose. Dukwa, good to see you. Claudine, all the other folks there in Kokwani. You're going to see all boys soon again. This time is vacation. It's not work. Beatrice, good to see you. Mayville Schultz and all the other folks joining us tonight. St. Romain Adams, we see you as well. Bonita Elise Parker, good to see you. June Jeffries, good to see you as well, folks. We are starting the program tonight the way we started the week. Ending the week the way we started, folks. Dharamlall, Dharamlall, Dharamlall. There is a resounding chorus out there tonight across this country. Dharamlall must go. Must go. Great to see each and every one of you. Wherever you're joining us from, folks. Wherever you're joining us from, we are happy. We are privileged. We are delighted that each and every one of you could join us this evening. Simply delighted. And I said that chorus has been a resounding Dharamlall must go. Folks across this country, across the ethnic divide, across the religious divide, across the political divide, people have been united on the one issue. Dharamlall must go. Dharamlall must go. And of course, folks, we're talking about the Dharamlall rape scandal, where it's alleged that he raped and sodomized a 16-year-old. Folks, we end in the week the way we started it. Dharamlall must go. Good to see you, Charles Nelson. Great to see you, Derek McCalmont, Godfrey Montaigne, Volmer Wilson. Folks, sit back, strap yourselves in. We got a program for you guys tonight. We end in the week strong. You all know when we end in the week, we ain't throttling down. No. We coming up first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear. Hope you get your popcorn. You got your cokes, you got your chips, you got your fish. Folks. We trust that you guys are well. Most of us are well, but we're going to talk about that. Karen McPherson, Carmen Bailey, we come for work. That's what we come to do. On your behalf, Colleen, good to see you. Colleen Solomon, Romel Burnett, good to have you here. Karen McPherson, Enid Troy, and Jamal, Debbie Apple, Susan Jacobs, and Kearns, good to see you as well. I see Volmez here. Les Lynn and all the other folks like John Joe, Lennox Anderson. Good to have you. Sean of Fortune says Pace and Power. Idris Williams. Good to have you folks as well. Suk Chance with Harry and all the other folks joining us. It's a privilege to be here with you guys. It's a real privilege to be here with you folks. We hope that you guys are fired up and you are ready to go as well, folks. As we're meeting, there is a vigil happening in front of the home of the minister, the official home of the Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Mr. Nigel Dharamlall. As we speak, just before coming on air, folks, we were out there. We want to show you some of what we saw and some of what we heard as well. It's happening right now, a vigil at the Chalabar there in Campbellville. Folks, share the live, smash that emoji button, and if you're ready to go, put it in the comment section. We're fired up and we're ready to go. Hashtag ready to go, good folks. Hashtag ready to go. And let us follow from on this side. Hashtag ready to go. Hashtag ready to go. Dharamlall must go. Hashtag. Good to have each and every one of you on the live tonight, folks. Good to have each and every one of you on the live tonight. Great to see each and every one of you. Pace and power. Pace and power, good folks. Pace and power. Hashtag ready to go. Hashtag Dharamlall must go. You can put a nasty man to it there if you want. Pace and power, good folks. As I said, we got a show for you folks. We got a show for you guys. So strap in. Good to have each and every one of you. If you're now joining us from one of the many places people tune into our program from, we are delighted. Welcome. We trust that all is well. Pace and power, folks. We trust that you guys are great. Wherever you are joining us from this evening, wherever you wonderful, fantastic folks are joining us from. As I said, as we speak, as we're on here, there's a village in Campbellville at the Chalabar, the official residence of senior ministers of the government, folks including Nigel Dharamlall, and the folks have gathered out there. Look at some of what we saw, some of what we heard. Take a look and take a listen. Colin, Valerie, Beverly, Angela, Jordan, all the other folks. Paula, Isabella Butters, Isabella, good to have you. Paul, Claremont, D'Angelo, good to have you. And Idris and Troy and Kevin. Kurt, good to have you folks. This is why we encourage you guys to partner with us so we can keep on bringing you folks valid and credible information. The channel bar, folks, the Candlelight Village. Vigil, the Candlelight Vigil. Take a look and take a listen. Folks, we're outside of the Ichalamar compound and we are at a candlelight vigil. Of course, this is concerning the alleged rape of a 16-year-old in which Minister Nigel Dharamlall has been implicated. This is outside his residence in Ichalamar. Folks, we have one of the activists here with us, Wayne Mason. Wayne, what has brought you guys outside here this evening?
Well, we out here to let this, I wouldn't call him minister, on this honorable man know that the people of Guyana would like him to do the right thing and resign and face the full law like it would have done to others. And be in solidarity with a young lady that said that he raped her, and we in front of the same house, in front of his house tonight, to let him know that we can be here every night until justice is served. And if we have no justice, there will be no peace. And we will come every night here, and we will go every day in front of the office of the president, and even the ministry. If they put you back at our ministry, we will go right there. And we are calling on the international community to let your voice be heard, because Dharamlall is not bigger than the law, and I'm asking the president to do the right thing. Mr. President, I'm asking you to send him back in so the law can take its course, and please do not interfere and tamper with the law, and let it be what you would have done to any other. It must be done to him.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. A number of folks have come out, and we see folks are still coming. This is in front of the residence of the Minister, Nigel Dharamlall, Minister of Local Government and Regional Development. This is Ichalamar compound where senior government officials are housed, and it is here it is said this damning act took place. These are the allegations that were made by the 16-year-old schoolgirl, indigenous young woman, and a number of people are out here, and a number are still coming. We can see some of the road getting their candles lit. When the road is all up yonder, when the road is all up yonder, I'll be there. Let us never forget master from the garden. Let us talk about this wonderful love and faith. Then when all is life is over and the water is and the road is all up yonder, I'll be there. And this is the location in which they say the gruesome acts of rape and sodomy is perpetuated on that 16-year-old young woman. She said she was 15 at the time when she met Minister Nigel Dharamlall. She turned 16 3 months later, and it was this house in which she was brought to. These are the allegations. Her brother was made to sit downstairs and watch television And she was taken upstairs and raped and sodomized. These are the allegations. We're going to leave this here for now.
Good night, Dharamlall, come tell you good night. Good night, good night, so comfort tell you good night. Good night, good night, comfort tell you good night. Good night, comfort tell you good night.
And folks, those were the scenes of the Chalabar there in Campbellville. We were just out there before coming on air and picked up some of that. It's happening as we speak. That candlelight vigil there is happening as we speak in the Chalabar. Early on today, folks, back on the protest line. Early on today, back on the protest line, there were a number of folks lifting their voices in protest against these damning allegations. Again, the resounding call is that Dharamlall must go. It's not if nor buts. Must. It was must happen. He must go. And we caught up with also former Minister of Government, Annette Ferguson. Now listen, this some folks in this government very quiet. The women in the government very quiet. Chubby Gibbs, Aspet Short, Everell and Princess, Juju. She said they're very quiet. The women. And she called a slew of the names, which some of them could be as bold and as brilliant as this young woman who has leveled these damning allegations against the colleague. They're quiet. They're very quiet. Folks, take a look and take a listen. Some of what we saw today on the protest line in front of the office of the president, folks. There in front of the office of the president, there at Recension Road. So what we saw and some of what we heard as well. Take a look, good folks, and take a listen. Share the jam live. Smash that emoji button, folks. Let me go down the road. Share the live. Partner with us as well, so that we can bring you more programs like this. Take a look and take a listen.
I said Dharamlall gotta go. Dharamlall must go. Dharamlall must go. Must go. Dharamlall must go. Must go. Dharamlall must go. 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 Dharamlall 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 must go.
Folks, we're here on the front lines.
Must
Friday,
go.
the 23rd day of June. We're on Recension Road in front of the office of the president. A number of persons are here making their voices heard. The chant is Dharamlall must go, as you can hear.
Rape. Who must go? 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 Donnie could sit down. Who must go? Who must go? Who must go? I just can't hear. Time for coverage. Who must go? 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 Must go. 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 Must go.
Well, thank you very much, Sherrod, for allowing me the opportunity to be on your platform this afternoon. Where we are regarding Dharamlall, we are nowhere. Reason for me saying this is that it's going close to a week and couple days since this revelation involving Mr. Nigel Dharamlall and this 16-year-old young lady. To date, one, we haven't heard much from Mr. Irfan Ali, despite him saying that, well, look, this type of behavior will not be tolerated in his administration. But yet, he would have failed to act by calling on Mr. Dharamlall to immediately have his resignation prepared and hand in. Secondly, we heard the Vice President of this country, Mr. Bharat Jagdeo, at several press conferences where he barely touched on this particular issue. But yesterday at his press conference, when he was asked about this particular matter, he of himself said that, you know, the PPP government, I might be paraphrasing him here, that the PPP government do not tolerate abuse of women in his party, which is far from the truth, Sharon, because we know this very vice president is guilty of abusing his wife, or the woman he once called his wife. Secondly, we would have seen in the National Assembly where we have women on our side of the aisle being abused by that very person, Dharamlall. Bharat failed to act. Irfan failed to act. And the speaker failed to act. What else we have seen, Sherrod? We also recall the situation with Dr. Barry Ramsaran. Barry Ramsaran, you would recall, slap and strip. And Irfan, not Irfan Ali, Bharat Jagdeo, the then president, Donald Ramatar, failed to act. Well, we know Donald Ramatar, well, Jagdeo was actually the de facto president. Right. So obviously, Donald couldn't say anything much. Likewise, Bharat did not say anything much. So I'm referring to all of these past incidents to show you that this particular administration cares absolutely nothing about women and their rights in this country. So we know that the file has been sent to the DPP, perhaps awaiting further advice as to what legal actions should be taken against Mr. Dharamlall. So Sherrod, we await those advice by the DPP. I am saddened. You know why, Sherrod? Yes. This is a young 16-year-old, actually virgin. Had her little virginity, perhaps waiting for the appropriate time to get married, and that love of her life be the first one. When a beast like Dharamlall would have groomed that young lady, lured her to his home as is being alleged, and did what he had to do, rape and sodomize, take that young lady's virginity, and then state that he now owns her. No, this is sad. This is
The
disgraceful.
devil made him do it.
This is demonic. He treated that young lady as though she's a slave, his sex slave. The Sherrod, I am blue, where this particular matter is concerned. And I'm calling on Donald Jagdeo because you's the man we're running things in this country. And I know for the fact that you, Barrett, and Dharamlall are very close. I know a secret he got for you. But if you can be a man and say to Nigel Dharamlall, you have committed a big wrong, and it is time for you to it's time for you to take your leave. I don't know what more to say about these people. These people got no class. They have no morality. They have no values. And it seems to them that they can fool the people of this nation. But I'm happy that Guyanese are speaking out. Whether women, whether mothers, whether grandparents, I'm also happy that the NGOs are coming out. Yesterday we had Red Thread, we had other the APA, we had the national two shows. They too would have added their voice to this call, and I know that many other persons will add their voices. As a Christian, Sherrod, I'm anticipating that the churches will add their voices as the days proceed. I must give credit to brother and elder Loris Haywood for standing with us earlier this week. I also want to commend Sister Bernice from the Full Gospel Church, who also stood with us in defense of this little girl. This is a wrong that we should not tolerate. So I'm also surprised that the man of the cloth, a man of the cloth who sits in this government and also a senior minister, a bishop, I don't have no fear to call his name, and we all know who I'm referring to. Bishop Gwan Edgel, who oversees a large congregation there in Durban Street. And his congregation is made up primarily of women. And to date, the bishop has failed to add his voice to this particular incident. Why, Bishop Edgel? Why are you so quiet against a wrong? I am hoping that the Lord will touch your heart and you will find strength and courage like I am doing and many other right-thinking Guyanese are doing to add your voice to this call. Wrong is wrong, Bishop. And tell those around that horseshoe table in cabinet that this is a wrong committed by one of us, and it is time for him to take a bow out. Secondly, we as a mature government and a government that practicing this one Guyana, this oneness that they speak about, that we should all come together and stand in defense of this young lady. Sherrod, the other thing, you got Vindi Prasad, you got Priyamanik Chan, you got Silent Pauline, apparently, I don't know, since this incident, like she lost her tongue or she lost her speech. Who else we got? Sonia Parag, Susan Rodriguez. Who else we have? Well, I called Vindi already. These ministers, Onage Waldron, very quiet. Gail Teixeira, a woman who is Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance. She too, or all of them, they have failed to add their voices. But you see, Sherrod, the reality is They can't speak because the man who's sitting in the chair and calling the shots every single day, quiet all of them. Is I must be the only person to speak on this matter. He would have addressed this matter, I think, on critics on Thursday. Then he came on Wednesday, sorry, then he came yesterday at his regular press conference and he spoke briefly on this matter. I want to say to Mr. Barajagio, don't try misleading this nation. This is not a political matter that the APNU AFC is trying to make it. This is a matter that concerns a little girl, a girl child who was actually raped and sodomized as is reported. So don't try to tell the nation that we in the opposition is trying to score cheap political points. No, we're not trying to score cheap political points. We have a sexual offensive act, an act of 2010, of which you, Jack Dio, signed into law when you were president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. That is the law that should be used against Mr. Dharamlall, that should bring him and to have justice for this little child. So, Sherrod, I think this is what I would want to say for now. And in closing, I want to say to that young woman how proud I am. I don't know you. Perhaps you read of me or you read about me, but I don't know you. But the little that I would have read from what you shared or what I've seen via social media platform is that you're brilliant. You're a brilliant young lady, and you're brave, you're bold, you're courageous. And as a woman, I want to applaud you for the strength that God would have given to you to cause you to come forth, come forward, and speak truth to power. I trust that Dharamlall will have his day in court like any other person, any other citizen who would have been accused, charged, and had their trial in court. You know, Sherrod, you would remember just the other day, a young woman, a young woman was sentenced to 8 years in prison. I think from Linden, if my memory serves me accurate, 8 years in prison. And what was she sentenced to prison for? Rape. Rape, Sherrod. So if an ordinary citizen had their time in prison, what makes Nigel Dharamlall different or special? No. The same law that was used to sentence that young woman, the same must be applied to Nigel Dharamlall. Nigel is a beast, and he don't deserve to be a part of society. He should be put in jail and face his time. And I trust that God will continue to give that young woman the strength that she deserves. And I hope that we, as parliamentarians, as national leaders, with the support from civil society and ordinary Guyanese, will continue to voice our concern against this wrong. It is a wrong. It is a wrong. And I want to encourage each Guyanese to join us on the front line. Add your voice to this wrong, because God don't like what is happening. So may God continue to bless us, and may God continue to bless our beautiful nation, Guyana.
Maybe we should end the program now, folks. Apologies there. I was saying to you folks that the Vice President, Mr. Jagdeo, is saying, this is what I was saying while we were silent. Apologies. The Vice President is saying that the Sexual Offences Act is being followed scrupulously. Do you believe that? Peter and Glenford, Denise and Joan, Desmond, Sandra, do you believe that the Sexual Offences Act is being followed scrupulously? How come then you had what transpired there with Kemraj Shivaran? How did that happen? You know, and the victim not being allowed an attorney and all that. If this thing is being followed so scrupulously, how come all of this happening? Folks, we saw on the protest line today, attorney at law, Darren Wade, and since we dealing with so many legal issues, we had to ask his impression of things. You know, he said the collecting of this statement by Shimran is dangerous. That's one of the things he told us. The collecting of this statement was very, very dangerous, and the manner in which they went about doing it went on to say that the government of Ghana is complicit in this whole matter, and that the treatment of Dharamlall in this instance seems as though it's different strokes for different folks. Different strokes for different folks in this one Guyana. And then we ran into MP Tabitha Saraba Hali as well, who used to be the Minister of the Public Service. Sonia gone quiet, the current minister, installed or not, Sonia gone quiet with the whole rest of them. Tabitha highlighted that point for us. Said we need to demand much more from this country's leadership. That's part of what they told us today, that we need to demand so much more from this country's leadership. Take a look and take a listen to some of the other things we saw out there in the protest line today and some of what we heard. Take a look, folks, and take a listen.
No allegation is great of a concern. Doesn't accept
disrespectful to women. Very disrespectful.
Leave the people children alone. Let us celebrate if you said they don't need to war, let's war for it.
Yes, my main concern is the manner of how the investigation is going on. I must say I'm disappointed in the conduct of the Guyana Police Force, starting from the commander in Region 2 that went to solicit that statement. It is dangerous based on those allegations of the commander going and collect that statement. My understanding of the law will tell me that if someone does such an action, we are trying to assist after the fact, and there is a crime of accessory after the fact. So to this date, the commander of Region 3 not being arrested or called in by the Guyana Police Force, that is a concern to me. You know, another concern that I'm hearing in the news is that the accused rather would have altered his room. What I understand usually happen in this matter, you are kept for 72 hours pending those investigations, so you're not able to go home back to your residence and to tamper with evidence, perverting the course of justice. That's what we're seeing here, and it appears as though that the Guyana Police Force, the government of Guyana, is complicit. It's complicit. That is of a concern to me. I understand also but government lawyers also are involved in this matter. Persons who are contracted by the government, persons who are close to the government. those persons are contracted and are assisting in this matter.
What would be the concern there?
Well,
The public who might
well,
not see the connection.
okay, well, why I'm concerned, eyebrows are raised. While attorney may be in private practice, but once you are being, you're retained by the government, by the same government, to prosecute matters against the opposition, the same prosecutors are being used as lawyers by the accused in this matter. Certainly, eyebrows are raised. Whether or not the government or the person who would have retained him for him, or he retained him himself. But there is a concern for me there. You understand? While there may be no actual nexus to link the government and the accused, but if these lawyers are being retained by the government, by the DPP office, by the Attorney General office to prosecute members of the opposition or persons who they believed to have done fraudulent allegations, but they're using those same persons to defend Mr. Dharamlall. Those are concerned to me. That eyebrows must be raised. It's only natural.
Is there anything else in this process that has stood out to you as an attorney?
So as I mentioned before, the 72 hours for them to do a proper investigation, for Mr. Dharamlall to be kept in the lockups, for them to go to the locus, go to the crime scene. This is issue of the altering or the allegation of the altering of the room where it's allegedly happening. The smelling of paint, those allegations should not have been there. The special treatment. I remember a woman by the name of Miss Roxanne Myers. I remember being one of her attorney, being there with her at BV, being placed to sleep on the cold floor, the concrete floor, the floor with feces, the floor with urine. That's where they put Miss Myers to sleep. And Miss Myers, the crime that they alleged against her is a conspiracy. And if you show you are legally trained, you will not conspiracy. There's no direct evidence. So there's nobody saying that saw Miss Myers do anything wrong or anything of the sort. And this is a case where a woman is alleging that she's been raped. Direct evidence, nothing, no conspiracy. And to be treated this way, James Bond, 72 hours, Trevor Ben, 72 hours, Winston Jordan, they locked him up at Sparring Dam where he fell ill. And you're seeing the conduct of the Guyana police force and the PPP government. They are not interested in judgment. They're not interested in justice. I noticed on the media the vice president saying that whatever, if he's found guilty or liable, he will face the full consequences. Something is wrong with Barry Jack Dio, because that's not his role and function. The role and function of the state in this matter is to ensure that there's an impartial investigation. If the investigation is compromised, what the results will be. And the issue of sentencing and facing the consequences has always been an issue for the courts. Unless Barry Jack Dio want to play judge and jury, that should be Mr. Barry Jack Dio's concern, not to jump to judgment. There'll be no special treatment and so forth if he's found guilty. No, Mr. Barry Jack Dio. We want a proper investigation. That is the only way that justice can be truly served. And this abuse must stop.
Well, right now today's Friday. We've been out here for a week now, and as far as I'm concerned, the government is very silent. The president is very silent as to where the government stands on this matter. I know that there's the police, and so they're doing their investigations. But based on the allegations, for less in other parts of the world, the minister would have been fired. For less in other parts of the world, the minister would have been asked to pack his bags and leave the ministry. But here in Guyana, I think it's almost as if the government is hoping and waiting and praying that the girl that was brave enough to come forward recant her story so they can go on the mountain and say, well, you see, he wasn't charged with anything, so he can remain there. And I think as a society, we have to expect and demand more of our leaders. We have to expect and demand more of those who decide and choose to hold high office, and who it is that we elect to hold high office. Because when it comes to matters of this nature, and matters such as rape, abuse, using your office And if it isn't, you look at what the young lady said happened, and the fact that he used state resources to go through these processes and to attack the young girls in a lot of these villages and these communities. And so I think as a society, we need more, we need to demand more, and we have to expect higher and more of our elected officials. And the one way of doing that is to show that you are against what you have heard thus far, and by showing that is by coming out here and protesting what has happened, and the way in which the government has chosen to be silent on the matter.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Folks, we were listening there to Attorney at Law Darren Wade. He said the government complicit. They are complicit in what has been happening. They're complicit. And then MP Tamata Sarabo Halley was telling us, we got to demand more out of us. Even those of you who vote for them, more so y'all got to hold them accountable. You got to hold them to a higher standard than you have been holding them to. And then we had policeman Paul Slow on the front line there as well, former policeman, a rather retired assistant commissioner of police, Paul Slow. Folks, we want others to get valuable, valid, credible information. Valid and credible information. Paul Slow broke things down for us. Darren walked us through some of the legal issues and legal concerns that he has. And Paul Slow, as a retired assistant commissioner of police, took us through the paces. You're going to want to get your notepad. You're going to want to share the live, folks. Folks, maybe we come out to the line tonight. You share the live yet? Rami Leander, Edward Brooms. Maybe we should cut the program here, because we want others to get valid and credible information as well. Do you folks want that? Share the live. Smash that emoji button for us. Good, folks. You're going to hear how Paul Slow walks us through some of the issues that are of concern to him, that stands out to him as a senior policeman. Again, retired as an assistant commissioner of police. And then we ask him, you'll hear us ask him the question, are we missing anything? In this public discussion that we have in Sandra Hanover, Victoria Singh, Yolanda Thomas, Audrey Tom, we ask the question, are we missing anything? You know, sometimes when you so close to the issue, Rimingo Garaway, Valerie Clark, Bantu King, sometimes when you're so close to the issue, you might miss something. So we like to take a step back and ask ourselves, what are we missing? We asked that question of the senior, the retired assistant commissioner of police, Paul Slow. What are we missing? Folks, share the live, smash the emoji button. We promise you all, if you partner with us, valid, credible information. Some of y'all slacking up. I hope when we tell you all, we can't come in here because X, Y, and Z. You all vex. Valid, credible information. No wish me happy birthday on the 30th of June. Send us something to keep our program running, guys. Retired assistant commissioner of police walks us through issue by issue. Issue by issue. Is the closer. You're going to want to share the live. You're going to want to smash that emoji button, folks. But before we get there, we want to tell you, if you need a good justice of the peace, if you need a good commissioner of votes to affidavit, we want to recommend highly the Alistair Collins firm. Himself and his team, they understand this business. And they're located down there at the Calvian Mall, Lamaha Street between Camp and Waterloo Streets. 649-6410. 649-6410. Folks, we use them as well. We ain't recommending people here that we don't use. And we ain't got you listening to people we don't listen to. They are the experts. You need a good commissioner of votes to affidavit, a good justice of the peace. Highly recommended. Highly. And that's why we turn to folks like Paul Slow. What is his? You know, we got a lot of opinions out there of what's happening. But when you hear the professionals talk about it, we were taking notes. Folks, the closer. After a very long week, retired assistant commissioner of police, Paul Slow. Take a look and take a listen and share the damn live as well.
Mr. Slow, a very good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
As a former senior policeman, I know you've had several concerns about the conduct of this probe, this investigation. Talk to us about that.
Lord, Sherrod, my concern is over the fact that I don't think this investigation is proceeding or has proceeded in the manner one would have expected an impartial and professional investigation to go. And why do I say this? On the 16th, I think it was Saturday, I saw a statement circulated on social media where the commander of Regional Police Division 2, Kemrat Shevbaran, took a statement from the rape victim claiming that she recanted the allegation. Now, I examined that statement. First of all, the statement according to him, this is a male commander taking a statement according to what he claims from a 16-year-old rape victim in that immediately is wrong because it's a part of intimidation. You can't take a female into the commander's office to deal with any matter regarding any sexual offense. And then what made it more troublesome is his explanation. He told Saboteurs, based on what is reported in Saboteurs, that when he took this statement, he did not know what the complaint was about. Well, I find that laughable. How you, as a senior police officer, you're taking a statement from someone who says that, look, this thing that appeared on social media, I had nothing to do with it. You're not going to find out what thing appeared on social media. And therefore, that convinced me that an effort was being made to blush and to cover up this investigation, which is a crime. Under Section 329 of the Criminal Law Offences Act, it is called perversion of the course of justice. We have several persons who are currently before the court for perversion of the course of justice. We had a matter back in 2020 where PPP Member of Parliament Alistair Charlie was accused of sexually assaulting a young male. And he was charged with the sexual assault, and he was also accused of offering the grandmother $500,000 to run the matter. And he was charged to perverting the course of justice. So in this matter, if it is alleged that the minister, Dharamlall, offered $10 million to finish this matter, as you would say, that is perversion of the course of justice. And he and the commander and all else who were involved in that should also be charged. I noted that the file, based on the report, the file went to the DP, I think it was yesterday. That to me is somewhat worrying again, because to have completed such an investigation, not completed, let me understand it clearly. You don't have to complete an investigation before the file goes to legal advice. Once you satisfy yourself that it's a prima facie case, it can go to legal advice, charge can be instituted, and the investigation can continue. But I would have thought that an investigation of this nature, such a serious allegation against a minister of government, you would have taken a little bit more time to make sure, as we would say, you cross the T and you dot the I. I am not convinced that all of those T's were properly crossed and the I's were dotted, as to make sure that you have a proper case. Look, let me tell you this. I have been in conversation with many of my former senior police colleagues, and based on what is there on social media, we all agree that this is what we say, an easy case, an easy investigation. The statement given by the young lady is so detailed, it's clear, that in itself provides sufficient prima facie evidence that this crime had been committed. And I would have thought that, having regards to that, what the police would have done, the investigators would have done, is to make sure that you go to get corroboration. She spoke about her brother. She spoke about our friends at the Dharamlall. She described the house. And having described, let me say this too, because I noted circulating and I listened to Attorney Cameron Hamilton say that when he went there to this child protection agency to represent, on the request of the parent of this girl to represent, he was denied representation. He was denied the access to her. And he's saying that the word is that the place, the room in which this incident occurred was freshly painted, and it seems as though the furniture was moved around. I am saying this, that in order for that to have happened, remember this incident occurred since December, in order for this to have happened, the young lady must have given a description of what the place is, and somebody must have communicated that to Dharamlall. So Dharamlall must try to rearrange this thing. so as to affect the young lady's credibility. There can be no other explanation. Let's understand this clearly. There can be no other explanation. So I have some concerns because if the commander of a division is getting involved in what I believe to be the perversion of the course of justice, then one can very well conclude that other jiggery-pogery, as we say, will take place to make sure that this man walks free. And I am convinced that is what's going to happen. And therefore, I want to call on all of us to monitor this matter very carefully. The matter has gone to the DPP. I see that the DPP has no alternative but to advise or to direct that a criminal charge of rape be brought against the minister. I said before, and I'm repeating again for emphasis, that the investigation should continue to deal with the proportion approach of justice. Dharamlall, the police officer, and all those who would have facilitated that process have to be dragged before court on this matter.
On the issue of Superintendent Shibaran, might you outline for us what might have been the SOP to be followed in that instance when the young woman comes into the police station?
The first question you need to find out, how did she get there? Who took her? Did her parents take her there? Did she go there on her own volition? The statement taken by Shibaran, I think I counted about 15 to 17 lines. It took 3 hours and about 35 minutes, according to what he stated. He started to take the statement, according to him, at 11:15 or somewhere there, and he finished way down the line. What were they doing during that period? Who were there? Because I know the SOP in such a matter is that the people who are trained to deal with sexual offenses, most cases, senior female police ranks, would have been the one to interview her in a very private place, not in the presence of a superintendent, a male superintendent, because the male superintendent has authority and power, and given the fact that the allegation is made against a minister, you can very well imagine that this child could have been intimidated by the mere presence in that office and the superintendent. So the SOP there should have been, a report should have been made, entertained in the records. Even if, as he said, he wasn't aware, as I've said, if you're not aware of what the allegation is, how come when you're taking a statement, how come you're taking a statement? So someone who is involved in the domestic violence and sexual offense cases, who are trained to deal with that, should be the person to sit. And in most cases, or in all cases now, that should be a female of the appropriate rank, experience, and knowledge, not the commander. And as a colleague of mine said recently, I would like to know when last the commander took a statement, any type of statement at all.
That being said, and because of all of the implications here, you don't seem to put much stock on what Mr. Jagdew said is going to be an impartial investigation.
What impartial investigation? What impartial? Given what I've described with the action of the commander, how can we now have confidence that this investigation is going to be properly done? How can we? I cannot have confidence that this is going to be properly done, because if you started, and let me make this point, you would have noted that Dharamlall has a very experienced counsel. And therefore, there is even more need to make sure that this thing is done properly. Because in the courts, as we would say, it's not about what you did, it's what can be proven in the court of law. So all we might say, Dharamlall guilty, and it looks like he's guilty. But at the end of the day, is the evidence that is presented in the court of law is going to convict Dharamlall. So if the evidence is not there, if the investigation, and many times too, not only the evidence, it's about adhering to certain procedures and to make sure the man's rights are adhered to. And therefore, I say, you make some mistake, which can be deemed to be an egregious mistake and a fatal mistake, the case goes down the line. And I get a strong suspicion that is what the intention is.
Do you see the need for a wide investigation based on all the people who might be implicated in the wrongdoing?
Exactly. This calls for a wider investigation, because I've seen statements now of other allegations in these indigenous areas. So it seems to have been, as we say, a big racket going on. And as somebody told me, it looks like these areas seem to be a target-rich environment for these pedophiles and rapists. So a wider investigation is needed. And as I've said, this file has gone to the DPP. I hope they're not only addressing the rape, or even if they're only now addressing the rape, that they will continue to investigate, to deal with the perversion of the course of justice, the paying of bribe, the involvement of the superintendent to say that the girl has given a statement to retract. I hope somebody would have interviewed her, some from the child care agency. How did she get there? what were what the nature of the questioning, and by the superintendent to cause him to write that statement. Those are very critical aspects of this whole wider investigation.
As a senior policeman, are there things in your mind that we're missing? Public, are they missing elements in terms of the discussion behind
Well,
public?
as a former, you don't have, as a former, they say senior policeman, I'm no longer, I've retired a long time now. As a former senior, as I've said, we talk about the presumption of innocence and all of that. And Mr. Dharamlall, like every other accused person, is entitled to the presumption of innocence. So you're not guilty until you're proven guilty by a competent court of law. However, having said that, we have had cases in recent times where it seems to be the presumption of innocence no longer exists. I spoke recently about the Crinton Bacchus murder on the East Coast. The 3 policemen are charged on the 5th of July last year, and on the same day they are dismissed. No due process, no presumption of innocence. Only recently in Bobby's, 3 policemen, they said, were involved. Some officer misplaced his firearm. 3 policemen are summarily dismissed. So there was no presumption of innocence or no due process. So I'm saying that yes, while persons are entitled to the presumption of innocence, it can be selectively used. All of us should be entitled to that presumption, all of us. And it seems as though this accused rapist is getting preferential treatment. Even the bail, the man walks into the station with his lawyer. All right, no wanted bulletin, which has been in army in recent times. He walks into the police station, and within 4 hours, he's released on bail, a set $1 million bail. And I asked a question as a former senior police officer, was any money lodged? Because $1 million bail doesn't mean that money was lodged. Because there is a $1 million no cash lodged. If they're claiming that the cash was lodged, I want them to present the general receipt to convince me that thing was lodged. And then you're going to search, as they say, the man's home. Now, if you're going to search, there is even more reason that you should keep him in custody until the search is executed. And then I understand too, a search was, they say search, but I can't see you searching and the man is outside. You can't search a person's premises and he's not present, or some other person from the household is there. But I believe it took place there. But as we say, you visit the locus in court, which is the place where the offense is alleged committed, which is regular. But even with that process, it ought to be properly arranged, because I know somebody saying that Dharamlall should not have been there and all of that. But if I agree he should not be there, but some arrangement ought to have been made for the premises to be accessible. Because if you tell him not to be there and the door is locked, the bedroom door is locked, how do you get into it? People are talking this thing, but you got to think it through. Yes, it was necessary for the girl to be taken there, because he would have expected that before she was taken there, a statement would have been taken from her describing.
And for members of the public, what is the aim of taking her there for the benefit?
Yeah, the aim of taking her there is to corroborate. That's what I'm saying, that you would have gotten from her a statement she would have described. She already said when they went to the house, the TV, and her brother was made to sit in the TV. He took her upstairs. So you would try to corroborate that, to confirm that the TV was there. More question might be there. She said she took her upstairs, so one got assumed they didn't go upstairs via elevator, they would go up the step. Where is the step located? Was it to the right of the entry? Was it to the left of the entry? Is there a platform, or is it a straight step? That type of question. So if it is that she had never been there before, as she claimed, and she described that in a statement, and when you visit the locus in Co, the things are as she claimed them to be, then she was there. So that as evidence to support our contention that she was in the house, not that she was raped, not that she was raped, but that she was in fact at the present in this house. That's the only way she would have been able to describe this in any great detail. And that too is every reason why, as they're saying, attempt was made to move things around and to paint over and so on. Because as I said, I have a strong suspicion that like whatever she would have said to whoever she would have said it would have been leaked, would have been given to him. So then he would have been either advised or he's sensible enough to know, well, look, I got to go and rearrange. So when they come, and she said if she had said that the room was a white room, then the room is now green. So when you say the white room and it's now green, you're lying, that type of thing. So that is what the purpose of that.
Circling back to the policeman, Superintendent Shubaran, found to be guilty of such infractions, what do you think might be the likely disciplinary actions?
Well, not disciplinary at this stage because it's a criminal offense. So I would have expected him to be investigated a criminal offense. And because for disciplinary action to be taken against him, you have to have the Police Service Commission. And as we know, the Chief Justice ruled in August of last year that the Police Service Commission is not properly constituted. So the Police Service Commission, as presently is, cannot do anything. But in terms of a criminal charge, you don't need the involvement of the Police Service Commission. If he is charged, then the Police Service Commission kicks in to have him interdicted. But Police Service Commission has nothing to do with a criminal investigation and for him to be charged with a criminal offense.
And could a member of the public bring such private criminal charges?
Yeah, members of the public can always bring private criminal charges. That is part. Members of the public can do. Well, you remember, if a member of the public is to bring a private criminal charge, the DPP can intervene at any stage to discontinue as she has done in the past. Yes, members of the public can bring private criminal charges on anything. You remember some years ago, Ella Yusik Mayana brought a private criminal charge of murder against a senior police officer. So there is not nothing unusual about that.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.
Want to keep getting the best in the ring? Yes, you can help us to keep going by partnering with us through your contributions. And it's easy. Send us a daily, weekly, or monthly donation, whichever is most convenient to you. Cash App at $in the ring592, Zelle and PayPal in the ring592 at gmail.com, or WhatsApp us on 627-6963 for how to contribute via MoneyGram and Western Union and for MMG payments. Want to keep getting the best in the ring? Yes, you can help us to keep going by partnering with us through your contributions. And it's easy. Send us a daily, weekly, or monthly donation, whichever is most convenient to you. Cash App at $in the ring592, Zelle and PayPal in the ring592 at gmail.com, or WhatsApp us on 627-6963 for how to contribute via MoneyGram and Western Union and for MMG payments. What?
As the last bell, folks, we did promise you valid, credible information, and you were listening to the retired Assistant Commissioner of Police, Paul Slow, walking us through some of the concerns he has, some of the policing issues that that sends off alarm bells in his head, and some of the other stuff that we should be thinking about as we're looking at this case. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for being here with us all week, folks. Share the live, smash that emoji button, folks. Partner with us as well so that we can do more of these programs. That's our time. Thanks for joining us all week long. Good folks, Heaven Faith, Lester Williams, good to have you there. Jamal Aziz, and good to have Audrey Hickens Griffith, Dolores Denny, and all the other folks who are joining us. Good to have you. Siobhan McDonald. Siobhan, thanks for the thing. Thanks for the thing, Siobhan. Thanks for the thing. Vesta Hardy, Rajkumar, Tommy Gibbs, good to see you as well. Good to have all of you guys who came out on the protest line. That's what really matters. That's what really counts. Your boots on the ground, literally. Thanks to all of you who had the courage. Those who couldn't come because you're frightened the fire from the little walk. We understand. We understand. We hope you build up the courage eventually. Yuli and Ann Kearns, Ingrid Pollard, Joylyn, and all the other folks joining us. Thanks for joining us all week long and for tonight's broadcast as well. That's going to do it for us at this end. Pray for y'all, boy. You know, the flu, trying to snatch eye. But I'm going down without a fight. Now going down without a fight. Roxanne, good to see you. Alson Cortez, good to have you here as well. Sandra Hanover, Auntie Sandra, good to see you. Joylyn, Marcel Williams, and all the other folks. Respect and manners. That's it for us at this end. That's the other way. That's it for us at this end. Stay safe, folks.